Without warning, and without a lengthy preamble, the world was stunned by the sudden appearance of two BTS icons, Jungkook and Jimin, in a strategic move dubbed the biggest fashion breakthrough of the year. Both are now united under the prestigious name of Louis Vuitton. But what's more intriguing is not merely the fact that these two figures have become the faces of the French luxury fashion house, but the major question now emerging: is this step purely a fashion collaboration, or is it a signal of a new power being formed amidst the internal dynamics of BTS members? Jungkook, previously known as the ambassador of various individual campaigns with a masculine and experimental visual approach, has now surprisingly entered the orbit of Jimin, the BTS member who was earlier acknowledged by the international fashion world as the face of Louis Vuitton. The pairing not only surprised industry observers, but also created emotional resonance among ARMY, who have long witnessed the personal and professional closeness between the two as it developed over the years. But behind the glitter of this visual campaign lies a much deeper narrative. Is this a deliberate strategic maneuver, a form of consolidating a new duo within BTS? Amidst the decreasing public interaction between Jungkook and Taehyung, many believe that the joint appearance of Jungkook and Jimin under one global brand is no coincidence. The combination of their visual power, global reputation, and fanbase influence makes them Louis Vuitton's ultimate weapon to simultaneously penetrate the Asian and American markets. The public still remembers that previously, the dominant narrative in BTS's internal relationships often revolved around the closeness of jikook. So Jimin's emergence as Jungkook's partner in this monumental fashion move indirectly shifts a new opinion among fans. Is the core of intermember dynamics now shifting? And if so, is this happening naturally, or is it orchestrated by global brand and agency interests? More than just a fashion event, this collaboration becomes a turning point in interpreting the direction of each BTS member. Furthermore, there's a red thread in this narrative that cannot be ignored: the influence of the international industry, which slowly but surely is directing K-pop artists toward a more fragmented and individualistic market orientation. No longer just as part of a group, but as independent entities positioned according to global marketing strategies. While most ARMY welcome this collaboration with enthusiasm and pride, not a few are also raising critical questions. Why is Taehyung, who also has close ties to fashion and luxury brands, not appearing in this narrative? Did he consciously choose not to be involved, or was there an external influence that sidelined him in the formation of the global duo image of Jungkook and Jimin? The emergence of this visual campaign also coincides with the rising discussion on market segmentation and individual branding. Some observers believe that major fashion houses like Louis Vuitton are actively seeking personas that convey duality, both in masculinity and androgynous aesthetics. And in this context, Jimin and Jungkook are seen as the perfect combination. Jimin with elegant charm, Jungkook with a strong experimental aura. This combo is considered more easily accepted by American and European markets compared to the emotional dynamics of jikook, which some global fashion audiences view as too sentimentally attached. However, behind this professional narrative lies an emotional layer that cannot be ignored. Should ARMY interpret this collaboration as a form of solidarity between two BTS members, or a deliberate maneuver to fill the narrative gap after the public closeness between Jungkook and Taehyung dimmed? Is this merely a fashion campaign, or a symbol of shifting internal alliances within BTS? These questions become even more relevant because much of the circulating information about this project originates from social media platforms, fan uploads, and visual interpretations of the released campaign photos. No explicit narrative has been given by the agency or the artists regarding the meaning behind this decision. Thus, we are faced with a wide space for speculation, which could lead to positive appreciation or, conversely, suspicion toward the narrative construction shaped by external parties. We again invite you to reflect. Are we witnessing the birth of a new era in the visual relationship between BTS members? Does this move affirm the dominance of Jungkook and Jimin as the global faces of BTS in the fashion context? Or is this actually a signal that inter-member relationships, long considered solid, are being restructured? Even further, does such a fashion collaboration truly reflect the artist's creative freedom, Or is it merely part of a larger agenda driven by global branding strategies? And as fans, do we have the space to ask and understand more deeply? Or are we merely passive consumers of narratives perfectly packaged by the industry? We must emphasize that the information in this article is compiled from public data sourced from platforms such as Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and international fandom discussion forums. However, its validity must still be tested through critical reflection, not mere assumptions. Therefore, we invite you to think clearly, skeptically, and with openness to various possibilities, without getting swept up in euphoria that may not reflect the actual reality. Is this truly a visual triumph? Or the beginning of a larger narrative fabrication? We leave it to you to assess, interpret, and voice your own opinion. But in the explosion of visuals and euphoria surrounding this collaboration, one fundamental question arises. Is the involvement of Jungkook and Jimin in Louis Vuitton's campaign the result of a natural creative process by the artists themselves? Or is it part of a larger and more structured scheme crafted by the global fashion industry and backstage management? When two global BTS icons join in such a strong visual narrative, it's very possible the public is only being shown the surface of a much more complex story. The public deserves to ask, was the choice of Jungkook and Jimin as the main pair in this campaign truly based on artistic and aesthetic considerations alone? Or is there a hidden agenda aiming to reshape the world's perception of BTS members' individual directions? For when examined more closely, the decision to position these two faces together appears far too strategic to be mere coincidence. And in a world where image is the main commodity, nothing truly happens without motives carefully weighed by many behind-the-scenes parties. Public reactions, especially from ARMY, are divided. Some welcome this move with great joy, viewing it as international recognition of both artists. But on the other hand, not a few begin to sense that something is being orchestrated behind the scenes, that a new narrative is being constructed, one that slowly but surely pushes aside the emotional and visual presence of other members like Taehyung from the global fashion collaboration stage. If that's true, then we must reconsider. Was this decision truly based on the personal desires of the artists? Or are they merely following a script already prepared by larger forces? And if such a script exists, is its sole purpose to reinforce the global brand image of BTS as separate individuals? Or is this the first step in reshaping the visual hierarchy and popularity among members, based on market data analysis and commercial potential? The fact that inter-member interactions in global projects now seem increasingly fragmented reinforces the assumption that BTS's collective approach is undergoing reconstruction. And if that's the case, it's crucial for us to realize that we may be part of an industrial experiment attempting to reshape the emotional dynamics long built between artists and fans. Are we seeing an authentic expression of artists freely choosing their collaborations today, or merely a new face of identity commodification being fragmented for specific demographic targets? Furthermore, the ethical considerations in this issue cannot be ignored. If the entertainment and fashion industries truly begin separating artists based on individual commercial potential, neglecting the collective narrative that was once BTS's main strength, then we are witnessing a major transition in the Korean entertainment world. Does this reflect a shift from values of collaboration and solidarity to internal competition quietly fostered by industrial structures? As information consumers, we need to re-question every visual framing presented. We must not passively accept this as an extraordinary collaboration without first examining its motives, context, and potential long-term consequences. Amidst this storm of visuals and intense publicity, we must pause and ask, is the involvement of Jungkook and Jimin in Louis Vuitton truly a celebration of togetherness? Or is it a sign that new patterns are being formed to replace familiar narratives long embraced by BTS fans? Again, we emphasize that the information and interpretations presented in this article are drawn from observations of various open channels, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and online discussion communities. However, none of these findings should be taken as absolute truths without verification from multiple perspectives.